2, 3.
Chanel Harris, Communications 110. Jay Mugat, September the 4th, 2014. Ray Townsend is my cameraman, and he will now scan my audience before I begin to speak. I miss home. If y'all wondering where home is, it's a small little city southeast of Georgia called Savannah. Savannah, Georgia was first discovered in 1733 by General James E. Oglethorpe. General James E. Oglethorpe had left England and landed upon the Bluffton River in Savannah, Georgia. Savannah became Georgia's first city and America's first planned city. When General James planned the building of Savannah, it was for its inhabitants to protect them against attacks on war. During this time, he decided to name Georgia after King George II. So now that I've told you how Savannah came about, I'll give you a little history of Savannah. I'll tell you how we celebrate St. Patrick's Day. I'll tell you the many notable movies that was filmed in Savannah, as well as the restaurants that you can partake in should you visit there. We'll start with the history. Savannah was sieged by the British during the American Revolution in 1778, and it lasted all the way to 1782. Savannah also received sea blockades during the Civil War. This made it very difficult for its inhabitants because nothing could come in and out of Savannah during that time. Savannah was named the 18th largest city for global transport during the 1820s. So, I've given you a little history on Savannah, its war, and how we participated and made history. Now I'll tell you a little bit about St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick's Day in Savannah is one of the largest celebrations in the United States. It's actually the second largest celebration in the United States and the largest annual celebration in Georgia. We generally bring in over 400,000 tourists a year during this time. It's my personal favorite time of the year to go home, but since working at Fiducia, I haven't been able to partake in these festivities. We get drunk together, we party together, we fight together, we love one another, and some of them even go to jail together. St. Patrick's Day crowd our streets for a week at a time. They paint the fountains green, they serve green grits and eggs, they really get into this. I believe around 1813, Savannah first celebrated St. Patrick's Day as a secluded celebration. It was a private ceremony, but is now, of course, celebrated by thousands. Also, during this time of the year, you have many people that come from all over the world painting faces, and our biggest attraction during this time is the St. Patrick's Day Parade. We even shut the schools down during this time. It's amazing, and you would have to partake in it to understand it and enjoy it. So I've given you a little bit of history about Savannah. I told you how we party. Now I'll tell you a little bit about the movies that have been made in Savannah. GeorgiaEncyclopedia.com gives a website on the many movies that has been filmed in Savannah. One of the notable movies that some of you all have seen or should remember is Forrest Gump. This movie was filmed in parts of Savannah, and the scene where he's sitting on the bench, where he's talking to the lady and his famous quote, "Life is like a box of chocolates," it was filmed in the Chippewa Square in Forsyth Park. We have another movie that you all may or may not be familiar with, Roots, The Next Generation. That movie was also filmed in Savannah, Georgia, as well as one of my favorites, Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. If any of you have ever heard of the book or the movie, it was loosely based on the unconventional characters of Savannah, Georgia. So, you know that we're not only famous for our history during the war era, you know how we party during St. Patrick's Day, and I've told you the many movies that have been filmed in Savannah. SavannahNow.com has an article that tells you about the many attractions that you can partake in when you're in Savannah. We have River Street, which has many attractions. It has cobblestone streets where they used to have trolley cars that rolled up and down the streets way before my time, and probably you all too. They have very beautiful restaurants along the riverfront and a sea of shops that you can enjoy. We have GeorgiaSoutheast.com article that tells you about the restaurants that we're famous for. So we have, I'm sure you all have heard of Paula Deen. Paula Deen has a restaurant called Lady and Sons. It's a famous restaurant that sells southern delicacies cooked in a good old-fashioned way. Serves sweet cornbread, deep southern fried chicken, fried green tomatoes. That's just a few to name. We also have a restaurant in Savannah by the name of Mrs. Wilkes. This restaurant gives you a home away from home feeling where you and a party of 2, 3, or however, you sit at one big table with a party of strangers, because 10 sits at this table and the table is already set with all of the food that they would serve on that particular day. You just get in, sit in, talk with everyone, and enjoy yourselves. So I've told you about our history. I told you how we party. I told you the movies that have been made in Savannah, and I've told you about the restaurants in Savannah. Now, for these last few minutes, I'll give you my personal experience about Savannah. I came to Savannah in 1977 at 5 years old when my mother relocated from Georgia. I went to school in Savannah, I got married, and had children. It is a place that I like to visit, not live. I enjoy going home to partake in the many dishes. One of our favorites that we're known for is our seafood. They cook seafood in ways you cannot imagine. Deep fried, grilled, broiled, everything is cooked with garlic. It is so wonderful. So if you ever get a chance and you're looking for some place to go and look and receive the beautiful scenery, Savannah, Georgia will be a place that I would suggest to you. You can get beautiful scenery, you will be treated with southern hospitality, and you would get great food. Why not come to Savannah? It's a great place to visit. I thank you all for your time, and if you ever decide to get married or remarried, Savannah is an ideal location for beautiful backdrop sceneries. I'm sure all of you can partake and enjoy something in the city of Savannah. I hope you all have enjoyed my speech and it can interest you in visiting our city, Savannah, Georgia. Thank you. I ain't do no 8 minutes.